What is up? It is Foodies and Friends. You know, it's 3:00. And we've got a really cool show for you today. We're going to do a little something different that we have not done before. Of course, I'm Ruben and Katie. That is Katie Stone. Katie,
hi guys.
Introduce our special guest.
Yes, this is Doug Skopp with Dionysus Wine Imports. Yes, is that the correct?
Spelled wrong.
Oh, okay.
S-K-O-P-P.
There we go. Doug
We'll
is, and like Ruben shared, something a little bit different. So we are at the Annie Cafe and Bar, which of course is participating in Houston Restaurant Weeks. Doug is the guy who supplies a lot of the wine for the restaurants who participate, not just for Houston Restaurant Weeks, but you know, restaurants get their wine from a distributor most of the time. And Doug is one of those guys, but they're not all the same, right? There's different wines, there's different suppliers, there's different farms, there's different batches, there's different countries. And Doug has all the information in his brain. He's going to help us learn. S-K-O-P-P, yes, we will get that.
Okay.
There we go. Okay.
P on the end.
S-K-O-P-P.
We got it.
So welcome, Doug.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And of course, this is not your first time at the Annie, is it?
Oh, no.
No. So tell us a little bit about yourself and your company and what you guys do.
So, no E on the end, just S-K-O-P-P. It's Dionysus Imports. We are a small to maybe a large, small importer distributor. We focus almost entirely on small production artisan wines, which makes us very unique. We focus on wines of place as opposed to wines of commerce.
Oh,
meaning
wines of place.
Wines of place, yeah. I mean, to me, that's very important because every single wine we have, we know where the vineyards are. We have descriptions on the actual vineyard site. And in almost all cases, we actually know that the person who makes the wine is the person who tends to the vine. So they're growing it, you know, basically they're giving us the best thing that Mother Nature has to offer, as opposed to more bigger production bulk wines where the goal is to simply make as much wine with as much promotion and marketing as possible. That's where the money is. So there's really not, you know, we don't have the volume in the type of wines that we have. I mean, these are true artisan wines. In almost all cases, they're, if not certified organic, they're made organically. I don't know anyone who uses any kind of pesticides, fertilizers, anything like that.
Well, because that affects the taste of the wine, right?
Oh, it does.
A fertilizer or some kind of preservative that shouldn't be in there and wouldn't be in there in the Mother Nature way, right?
So we're talking small batches here.
Very small. We have some wineries that make as little as 1,000 case production. And in some of our wines, where they're so highly allocated, sometimes we're lucky if we can get 6 bottles of some wines. More often than not, we're looking at 50 cases.
Sure.
So tell us
let's talk about our first wine.
Let's talk about our first wine. I love learning about all the different wines and the small batches, and it's great when it helps small families, family businesses too.
So this is actually a family out of that's both in Champagne and the Chablis area, and this is a champagne. It's a true champagne.
True champagne. So from France.
From France. From the Champagne
and
region.
it has to be from France in order to call it champagne.
From the Champagne region.
From the Champagne region.
From the Champagne region.
That is absolutely correct.
So there's product floating around out there that people call champagne that really is not champagne.
Correct.
Yeah.
And there's also the difference. You have grower champagnes versus more bigger production that are not grower. This is technically certified as a non-grower, but it's actually a combination of a couple growers. But because it's multiple growers, they can't certify it as a grower champagne. But it is compared to the big names, it is a very small production, definitely an artisan wine.
Yeah.
And what better to celebrate with than champagne?
Yeah,
100%.
For sure.
Agreed.
Now, do you find, are we going to taste that champagne or are we going to taste this
No,
one?
let's
We're going to
stick
taste
to the wines.
Okay, we'll taste the wine. We don't have time to try the champagne. Tell us about this wine, Doug.
So this is a Muscadet from Bonnet Couteau. It's Muscadet is the region near Nantes, France, which is actually the oyster capital of France. Cold Atlantic waters in that area. In France, everybody drinks this wine with oysters, Not as common here, even though we have a lot of oysters here. The wine is very crisp, very, very good summer wine. High acid is something that goes extremely well with seafood, salty foods. This is a very small producer. We get probably less than 50 cases a year. The grape in this is they refer to it as muscadet, but the technical name is actually called Melon de Bourgogne.
Oh, wow.
Well, Katie, I think you just give that a little
yes.
a little
Well,
taste
Doug,
and
I'll
see
let
what
you.
happens.
I'll let you pour a little bit in here so we can see the proper way to pour. And I noticed that the glass is not touching the glass. Yes, very good.
Thank you, Doug.
And this is among the other wines. We have 5 wines that we'll be featuring.
Oh, nice.
That they are they're part of Houston Restaurant Weeks in that they are connected in that
the restaurants actually buy cases and serve them during HRW.
Exactly. There's some discounts, things. We're going to help to offset the costs of these wines, and they'll be matching. There'll be some
that's wonderful.
donations and proceeds. Some of the revenues going to Houston Restaurant Weeks of these wines.
Yeah. So Doug has very generously our wine sponsor for our party, our VIP kickoff party. So all of the wines that we're drinking, well, some of them are from all of these small batch. And I love that because you try something new.
Myself, I like very good food. And to me, the whole experience needs wine to pair with it. So that's something I take very seriously. And we've got such an incredible restaurant scene here in Houston. To me, I love to be a part of it. And
now, what are some of the restaurants that carry some of these wines?
Well, certainly here.
Yeah, the Annie.
Yep. And some of the other B&B restaurants, but we work with most of the top wine sophisticated restaurants in town. Ostia, Tony's, Brasserie 19. All of which I believe are part of
Houston Restaurant Weeks. They are, yes, absolutely.
In all, we probably have about 60 to 100 restaurants in Houston. We tend to work with restaurants that are seeking these kind of special wines. These are not mainstream bulk wines, and like I said, they don't come with promotions. A lot of people don't know them, largely because they see almost no retail.
So, a question for you, Doug. So, like you said, you like good food.
I do.
You spend a lot of time with some of the top restaurants in the city of Houston. New restaurant opens up, you go out, maybe they've got a signature dish. Does your mind immediately go to, I know the perfect wine to pair with this?
I do. Yeah. That's we can't always.
That's a good game,
get it
Ruben.
in, right? But yes, actually, I take very seriously, very personally. If I like a restaurant, I like what they're doing. I feel it's my goal to get our wines in there. Because to me, it's just it's definitely a personal thing. So I'll go to some of my representatives and say, look, I've been to this restaurant. Our wines belong in there.
Because it can totally just complete the experience. It could take that one dish and just.
To me, it's all part of the experience. Right. I mean, not everybody has to have wine with food, but I do.
Not everybody has to have wine with food, Doug. You're not supposed to say that.
Well,
I get the meaning. All right, what's next up? I'm very curious about this
wine. Yeah, what's the next one?
We have actually from the same family that does the champagne. It's a Berg Chardonnay, which is a white Burgundy. It's from actually more around the Chablis region. This is going to be bone dry, and unlike American Chardonnays, the white wines of Burgundy, which to me is actually what I consider the birthplace of Chardonnay, they tend to be less oak. You don't have the butters. They can be very different than, say, from what's out of California. Tend to be more crisp. In my opinion, they tend to go with food better than almost any other white wine. I mean, that's for some serious white wine dishes. Cream sauces, chicken, shrimp, salmon, and Burgundy and Chardonnay. White Burgundy is Chardonnay, and so that they go hand in hand.
I'm ready.
All right.
I see Ruben's.
I'm learning things here. I think.
No, I know. My brain is
Doug,
exploding.
Would you pour for us? That'd be great. Katie's going.
I'm trying.
Right. So, Doug, let me ask you this: you were talking about working with these very small batch, small producers, small family organizations. We know that Europe has sustained a heat wave just like we have. Did that do anything to the production that we've seen in the past couple of years?
Actually, what's more relevant is hailstorms, which
Really?
are associated with the whole climate thing. I just heard last week there are certain regions that I work with where more than 80% of their entire production's been wiped
Oh,
out.
my God.
And that's the downside of these small family farmers, because they can't go to somebody down the block who has extra juice and say, well, I lost all my crop, I'm going to buy your juice. They can't do that.
Right.
So that's why you have a shortage.
That's why sometimes it's hard to get the cases.
Sometimes there are certain wines that are hard to get because
And they can't take the hit like a big producer.
no, because I say big producers find other sources to where to buy it, and they also have deep pockets.
Right.
Oh, yeah. Really, really good. And, I like too, we are trying it at the correct temperature, which, my mother was a big stickler for.
I think bone dry is spot on.
In my opinion, white wine
That's
you
good.
take out of the refrigerator a half hour before serving
Before you
to
drink,
warm
yeah.
up a little. And red wine, you want a little bit of a chill on that. I put it in the refrigerator a half hour before you drink. That's for people who don't have, if you have a wine cellar, then wine cellar
Fine.
temperature is
Right,
pretty
right.
ideal.
But that's a good tip.
Yeah.
That's a real good tip.
But is it though, Doug? Is a wine cellar in Houston, Texas going to provide the same environment as a wine cellar in the south of France?
If the temperature and the humidity are the same from a technical point of view, yes.
Yeah.
Do you have the same romantic feeling going into
Going
a
down
closet
into your
or
wine cellar?
No,
Sure.
There's definitely something to be said about visiting wine cellars in France.
Yeah, for sure.
Listen,
you do what you want to do,
whatever Doug says to do, that's what I'm going to do. I trust
All right,
We have
him.
a
Doug.
couple of reds here.
Okay.
Yeah,
let's
let's try a
got
couple
some
reds.
reds
Got a few more
coming. All
minutes
right, now
here
we're
for
talking.
some reds.
Now
Okay,
we're-
we've got two reds. The
Just-
first one is a very light red. So I think it's perfect for summer. It's called Terra Santa. It's actually from Corsica. And
Oh, okay.
most people, that's part of France, but it's almost like a separate country. The Corsicans kind of consider themselves as something different. The wines are a little different from the rest of France because it's very hot. It's very southerly. It's actually much closer to Italy than it is to mainland France. So this wine, the largest component of this wine is a grape I cannot even pronounce, but it's similar to Sangiovese.
All right.
Okay.
So let's go.
Here.
We're almost out of time. Let's
Yeah,
go
we
to
got a
the
few
next
more minutes.
one.
I just want
as
to
well.
taste
This last wine is called, it's actually one of my first in my portfolio.
Okay.
Domaine de Lamio Caron is from a village called Caron, which is very close to Châteauneuf-du-Pape. These are going to be similar grapes to Châteauneuf-du-Pape. For those of you who don't know, Châteauneuf-du-Pape is one of the most important wine regions in France, and it's located in the south in the Côte d'Aron, the Valley du Rhône.
Ooh.
And this is a wine with mostly Grenache based with some Syrah as well.
This was what was the one that we just had just right before this? This was very
The light
good.
red Terra Santa
Yes.
from Corsica.
Really good.
Now, if someone wants to, do you have a social media presence or anything where somebody can go and look and see what wines you have?
We do have a website. It's DionysusImports.com, and it does list our portfolio.
Wonderful.
And any of our wines can be purchased DionysusImports.com. Any of our wines can be special ordered, if not on the shelf. They can
Yeah.
be special ordered through the retail.
Yeah,
retail
and
wine.
I love learning about, because when I go to a restaurant, Ruben, and I am handed this massive wine list that's 3 columns sometimes, and sometimes it's
overwhelming.
2 pages.
It's overwhelming.
And it's overwhelming. And so somebody like me who doesn't drink a lot, I don't really know where to start. So what is a tip that you have for diners if they're not really big wine drinkers and they just want to have a nice glass with dinner? What's a good choice for them?
Well, first of all, I would always refer to the sommelier. Oftentimes you have
Yeah.
people who do know what they're doing and,
Yeah.
they're educated on wine. But if you don't know,
So
I mean,
ask the som
Yeah,
there. So you can
I-
say, hi, can I talk to the som, please? I'd like to.
I think that's a good idea.
Okay, so that's
rather
one
than
tip.
somebody saying, I don't drink wine, so I can't recommend something. Go to
Never
the
say
som. Now, if there's nobody there who knows anything, to me, I like French wines,
Okay.
French and Italian, which is what I specialize in.
Yeah.
But I'll just go to, especially if I see something from the Valley du Rhône, Rhone Valley. You often get incredible values from that area. You get a lot more wine for the money, and that's
Very
a
good
large
tip.
reason why I
Yeah.
started in the Rhone Valley. I'm now all over France and parts of Italy, but Rhone was where I started. So that is still where my heart is, my favorites. In fact, right here at the Annie, they were one of the first people starting to work with my wines when Robert Del Grande discovered my wines 20 years ago.
Yeah.
I had a personal phone call from him saying, "I don't know who you are, but I like your wines."
Oh, that's
And that's a call you'll remember.
Thank you, Robert.
yeah, absolutely.
For sure.
That's a good one.
All right, is this
Well,
our last wine we're gonna try? Is this right in here?
Yeah, that's
okay.
that's. Can we get a fresh glass for?
Yeah. Is
for
this
Doug?
this one? I think this is this one.
It's gonna spill. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, this is good. All right, Doug. Well, we're going to try one more. But let me just push this over here. Thank you so much for joining
Thank
us.
you.
And, thank you so much for your support, not only of Houston Restaurant Weeks, but of the restaurants that participate, because I'm sure you have seen over the years that they tend to order a little bit more product when August comes around, getting ready. So we appreciate your support, and I'm sure they do too. And we're so honored.
Let's see if we can get a
Try
shot,
the last,
a shot of that last
one.
wine.
Here
Let's
we
get it up on
go.
the-
You want to pour
let's-
this? Tell us what this is. There we go.
So this is the main Delamio Caron.
Yeah.
It's mostly Grenache with some Syrah.
All right.
Here we go. Last one. All right, you guys. You're going to have to come out here. Cheers. Cheers, Ruben. Cheers.
All right.
Yeah.
Oh, that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That's really good. That's delicious.
Ooh. I think that's my favorite one. Yeah, for sure.
Let's put it up on the Foodie and
All right,
Friends
we're gonna
cam, and
go
let's
up on the
let's
Foodie
hold that
cam.
shot, because
And-
folks are probably wondering. And guys, write this down. Get this. Find this label. Go to Dionysus and order some wine from Doug. And I think that was one of the. That was a pretty good one, Katie, because we definitely learned some stuff. Doug, you were great. Thank you for that. Well done to you. We're going to get Arthur Mooridian here in a minute, guys. Stay with us. We're going to do a little swap out. If you guys have watched us for any length of time, you know that Arthur has been a fixture to Houston Restaurant Weeks, to the dining scene here in Houston. It's one of my favorite guys to just kind of have a hang with. So we're tracking him down right. I think he's in the green room. So yeah. Is Arthur still in hair and makeup?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. It's a live show, people. It's a live show.
It's not in here.
Yeah. Come on. All righty. Look at this. Look who just popped in.
All righty.
Look
All righty.
at
Got
it.
the big dogs
I
in
just
here
flew
now.
into
Let's
town,
go.
and man,
Ruben's got to finish his wine.
Slurring now? or-
no. I'm taking my time. I'm going easy. I've got
Arthur,
some water. I'm
Would
mixing
you like a
it.
glass of wine?
No, I'm good. I start drinking now. I'm not stopping, so it's a little early still.
Ladies and gentlemen, Arthur Mooridian joining us. Woo! Our production staff.
Here we are again.
I know. Didn't we just do this a while
HRW
ago?
20th anniversary.
Yeah,
Wow.
we're
You know.
switching to water.
I can't believe it's been 20 years.
Yeah. Feels like we were sitting right here just a few months ago.
Yeah.
A year ago.
Yeah, well, we were here a year ago. So
What's new, man? What's popping? What do you got going?
A lot. And, we've got a lot of new openings. We just opened up a new restaurant that's doing really
Yeah.
well. And we've got a lot of new restaurants coming up. But right now, as a company, our focus is really HRW. Really making sure that we deliver the experience and we maximize our donations and all that good stuff. So
Love it.
Yeah.
the focus is that right now. Just getting
love it.
ready, staffing up, getting all the supplies we need.
Yeah, we
So,
just
go
saw
time.
the last minute edition of Benny Chow's. You guys just opened that a couple weeks ago. We weren't expecting Benny Chow's to be ready for HRW this fast, but this is Berg Hospitality. What do you
Yeah.
expect? And
Yeah.
now they're in it.
Now we're in it.
You got a killer
We,
menu. I've been hearing some good things about Benny
That's
Chow's.
going to be on my list.
Yeah, it's
100%.
we decided kind of last minute, why not? Let's
Yeah.
give it a shot. And it's for a good cause. And,
Right.
Yeah, great way
we
to
felt
introduce
like
a new
we
restaurant.
got to a place where we can do this fairly quickly. We hired an amazing staff that's done really well. The management team's doing great. So we we figured might as well give it a shot. So we're excited. Now all our restaurants are in it, so it's good.
Well, good.
And I know you guys have been working on that for a while. When you guys have a new concept coming online, how long do you guys, and I'm sure each restaurant is different, but getting the menu to where you want it, how long does that take from concept to actually being on what the diner's going to see in front of them?
Well, I mean, typically it's a very lengthy process. We start out probably 6, 7, 8 months before have an idea of a menu, and then we have an amazing culinary talent that puts the menus together. Then you have to sort of test it out, play with it. Right. We ideally like to have our menus finalized 3 months prior to opening. Yeah. But this menu came out perfect because we hired a consulting chef out in New York that had done some amazing work with some Chinese restaurants. Put the menu together, and we hired a local chef who's also Chinese. And between the two of them, they put together an amazing menu. Yeah, so I keep hearing. It's been great. One of the main things we've been talking about today since we got in the building.
And the other thing I heard really good things about too, which is just all the more impressive, was service. Service was fantastic, which you don't generally hear people raving about. 3-week-old restaurant.
Right when you open, yeah.
We hired a good staff. I mean, I think that was important. We hired a good staff. We got a great training program, and like I said earlier, we got to a point fairly quickly, quicker than we anticipated, to where we can be comfortable with opening up our doors for HRW, because it's a higher volume. Obviously it's busier, and we want it to be busy. So we felt that we were comfortable enough to be able to get it done, and we're excited to do it. Love it. So the team's excited to do it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's a company-wide endeavor, right? Yeah. Because there's not just one restaurant participating; it's all of them pretty much. So it's all hands on deck. Yeah.
And it's I haven't been there, but it's next to B&B.
Yeah, literally right next to B&B. Actually, the access to the restaurant where you valet and you park is at the B&B.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So you can valet.
Yeah, I know this. I know what the space is. Yeah.
Walk around.
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
And that's how we advise people to do it, because there's no valet right in front of the restaurant, so we share our valet with B&B Butchers, which works out perfect.
Got it.
Been good.
So one of the things that I wanted you guys to hear from Arthur, from the man himself. Most of you know that he was very good friends with my mother, and of course he is also on the board of the Cleverly Stone Foundation. On Monday we had Berg join us, and he is also on the board. But share with our viewers a little bit, because there's a lot of people moving to Houston. There's a lot of new people that don't really know that much about Houston Restaurant Weeks, and don't even know, like, they're coming to Houston and they're saying, oh my God, I had no idea Houston was such a big food city, which is mind blowing. Yeah. But from an operator standpoint, because you were with my mother for 20 years, helping her to run this, and you were, of course, her co-host on radio for many years too. But, talk to these new diners, right? Like, why is Houston Restaurant Week so unique and so important for the restaurant industry?
Well, one of the main reasons I think it's what makes it so unique is the length of the actual event. In my past life, we did restaurant week type promotions or events in just about every city, but Houston's really the only one that goes on for 5 weeks, and it's really truly because of the demand from the consumers.
Yeah.
And even restaurants wanting to do it for 5 weeks.
Well, you were there when they were all asking her, we want to do it again. And she probably would call you and say, what do I do?
Let's extend it. So, but as a new person in Houston, the beauty about Houston Restaurant Weeks is you have a 5-week window. And depending on how often you want to dine out, you really have the opportunity to try some of the finest restaurants at a very reasonable price, and decide if that becomes your restaurant of choice for celebrations or for special events.
Girls' weekend,
exactly. Yeah. So, and unfortunately, having been in the business, I don't get the opportunity to dine out as much as I like,
we gotta
because
change
we're busy
that.
in our restaurants, and so But I mean, if I had the opportunity, I would literally dine out every day, trying different restaurants.
Yeah, why not?
And again, Houston restaurant scene from 20 years ago to now has changed drastically.
Yeah.
And there's so many really cool pockets now.
Mhm.
I mean, who went to restaurants in Heights 20 years ago, right? Now it's like the hottest place to go.
Yeah,
Or,
yeah.
or the River Oaks district area. Or,
Yeah.
Downtown even.
Downtown.
Ito,
So there's
everywhere.
a lot
Yeah.
of cool spots.
Yeah,
So, my recommendation is go to the website, really take a look at the restaurants that participate, look at the menus and see what's out there and see which one you want to try and, go try it at a sort of a discounted entry level.
Sure.
And then if that becomes your best restaurant, your favorite restaurant, then great. That'll be your to-go place. So,
Yeah.
or even different cuisines. There's so many different cuisines that are participating in the Houston Restaurant Week. So
Yeah.
it's a great opportunity to sort of see what's out there. If you're new, it's a great opportunity to do well for the city.
Yeah.
Because every time you dine out, obviously there's a donation being made
Right.
to the Houston Food Bank. So it's a great way to get to know the city if you're new.
Yeah.
And if you have been here for 30 years, 40 years, you're a local, it's still a great way because there's so many new restaurants.
Right.
Totally.
Every year we get new restaurants that participate. So
What is it they say about the weather? If you don't like the weather in Texas, just wait a minute.
Wait 10 minutes.
Wait
yeah, I
10
don't think-
minutes or wait a minute or
yeah,
something.
Wait 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's the
It'll be a
same thing.
different
If you don't like the restaurant on your block, another one's probably going to open pretty soon.
Yeah.
So it's,
That's true.
I
There's a
think
lot of new restaurants.
so as we cover, just for the Fox viewers, as we're covering the restaurants and putting things on television, so we'll get through these 5 weeks, and a lot of times, I'll find that we were at a restaurant. Now we're doing morning shows, and it's a crazy hour, and you're not really dining, but you sample the food and see that. But I always end up going back to those restaurants during the year because it's like, oh man, that place was so incredible.
Remember it.
I want to go back as a civilian and just
Totally.
sit there.
Yeah.
And we do that.
we do that all the time.
Yeah.
We did a morning shot last week at Pacha Nikkei on Westheimer, one of the brand new restaurants.
Yeah, you went back, right?
I've already been back, because it was so good.
Yeah, it was good.
And they're participating this year. It's a new restaurant.
It was
and
great.
So it's a great, and like Arthur mentioned, you mentioned that it's probably the only one that is this long, but it's also, I know for a fact, the only one that has as impactful a donation, because this is
Absolutely.
the largest donation that the Houston Food Bank, which is the biggest one in the world. This is the biggest check that they get every year, you guys. So that's kind of important.
Yeah, this is definitely the biggest Houston, or not, it's the biggest restaurant week event in the country by far. And we've done this in several cities. It's been, and it's all thanks to, obviously the diners that go out and dine out, that support the event, and the actual operators and the restaurateurs and everybody within the restaurants that work so hard to make it happen.
Right.
So,
100%.
it's a great
They
event.
do work hard, but at the end of the month, it's a win-win-win, like my mom would say.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
Yeah.
And Food Bank gets a big check.
Yeah.
So Arthur, thanks for joining us, man. It's always
My pleasure.
great to see you.
Thank you.
You're one of my favorite dudes in the scene. I've told you that a million times.
Ditto, sir.
So Katie, you learned a lot today.
We did.
Learned
We're
some
learning so
wine.
much, and I love this because
It's been informational.
we
I love this.
We talked to Doug a few minutes ago. You know
Yeah.
Doug,
Yeah.
and learned
Yeah.
all about the different
I
wines.
love the
'cause-
wines that you guys presented. To
Really cool. Really cool. All right, so we're out of time, guys. Keep it tuned. Lots of good content coming to you for the next 5-6 weeks, however long this takes. Katie, are you ready?
I'm ready.
You're ready.
I'm
August
ready.
1st, dine out, do good. Houston Restaurant Weeks. We'll see you guys.
All right.
Peace.
See you
Thank you all.
Friday.
Bye.